let's take you back to Yankee Stadium now. Blue Jays manager John Schneider speaking ahead of Game 3 set for tomorrow. Let's listen.
I think it gets a little bit less predictable when, adding a changeup and, a little slider too. So I think he's evolved, and I think that his demeanor has definitely evolved too.
Just following up, looking at some of the footage from last night, it looked like Sir Anthony might have been tipping. Maybe the Yankees had something. Is that something you guys are concerned with, looking at all? Yeah, looking at it, it's you got to do a good job of being clean, being tight. You know what I mean? It's part of the game. Part of the game everywhere. So, yeah, we'll look at it, make any adjustments we need to make, and just try to keep them off second.
Go 2 rows behind to Mitch.
John, you've had to take Dalton out of the lineup when he was coming back initially from the injury after some pretty big days. Would it be pretty difficult to take him out tomorrow?
Yes. I won't. Yeah.
Just on Bo, I don't know if he traveled here with the team. And is there any kind of update at where he's at?
Yeah, he's still progressing. He's back in Toronto. He's still progressing, trying to ramp up, do everything he can to kind of continue to get himself ready. But there's no, glaring update with him. It's just kind of moving on to the next step in his process.
Go to Shy and then Kennedy. Shy first, right behind.
Staying on the injury theme, John, with Jose Barrios, is there any update there? Is he planning to? Does he have a timeline to throw? Any updates on him?
Nothing new. No, he's still not throwing. Still kind of in a shutdown period. So, as hopefully we continue to go, we'll kind of update his plan accordingly.
A bit of a different note. There was a clear inflection point game 1 in that 6th inning with the bases loaded. A couple inflection points yesterday. I'm just wondering, do you sense inflection points coming over the course of a game? And what do you feel like your team or how do you feel your team handles those moments when you're seeing them develop?
Yeah, you can always kind of feel it, right? You can never predict it, but you can feel it. Sometimes it happens in the first or second, I think they're handling it well, whether it's Gauzy or Louis in the 6th inning in game 1 or Ernie's at bat, Vlad's at bat. You can kind of feel it coming. And again, you want to just do what you normally do in more pressure-filled spots, right? So I think that they've done well. Going to have to continue to, do well and not try to do too much. Again, the series is far from over. We're coming into a tough place to play against a really good pitcher and a really good team. So I think you try to stay ahead of those situations, and you want to try to just be yourself.
One more, just zooming out big picture, what Trey has done over the 4 outings thus far, how is it altering how you're maybe thinking about him potentially into next year at this point? I know that's a long way down the road, but just has he changed something about how you were envisioning him going into next season?
No, I haven't thought about next season until you just mentioned it. So no thoughts on that yet.
Go to Kennedy in the 4th row on your left.
John, you guys are a team that does a lot of little things right, especially on the defensive end. How important can that be, especially in the postseason when the margin for error can be so thin?
Yeah, it's huge. I think that's why we're able to have so many come from behind wins this year too. Just an example, Miles making the catch down the line yesterday. That inning kind of gets going. If that doesn't get caught, it kind of keeps going. We've taken a lot of pride in that aspect of our game the last couple of years, especially, and to keep innings where they should be is huge. Every single extra at bat, especially against a team like this, is huge. So I think it's really key. It could be as easy as just cutting a ball off in the outfield and keeping a guy to a single. Just like little things that we talk about. It's a big part of our game, and I think it's really helped us get to where we are.
Up front on your left, Greg.
Hey, John, just one more on Trey. What makes his splitter so effective?
It's a lot of it, I think, is the release point. I remember talking about him and Kev kind of having similar arsenals back to back, but it's really different just from the where it's coming from. The thing's coming from the sky basically, and it's the action of it is a little bit different. Where Kev may be straight down, and his is kind of just falling off almost on the diagonal. So when he's throwing his fastball where he wants to as well, it makes it really hard to adjust, in a short amount of time.
I see you're sporting the white panel ball cap today. Safe to say that'll be you'll be wearing that again tomorrow?
Yeah, I didn't pack another hat.
We'll go to the third row on your right with Bill, and then Jared.
Joyce Springer is having his best season since 2019. What was the turnaround, and also how is he as a teammate? I've heard so many good things about him as a teammate.
As a teammate, man, he is infectious. He's a leader. Just his track record, I think guys gravitate towards him because of what he's accomplished in this game. So that I think, and when he's going good, man, he can really be the straw that stirs it. What he's accomplished this year has been, I don't want to say unbelievable. We thought he was going to have a bounce back year. He could, all the physical things are still there for a guy that's getting older. But he made some drastic changes, which is hard for a guy at that stage in his career to do. And him and Pop and Lou and Hunter, just stayed really convicted to a plan. I remember you look at his spring training, I think he had one hit. Everyone thought he was going to, get booed off the field and maybe retire in April, but he was working on something. So he's been right in the middle of everything we've done this year offensively. And it's really, really impressive that he's just had the same exact mindset every single day.
What was that drastic change?
It's just positioning his body really, still has the bat speed, still physically strong to do certain things that he could do back 2019, 2018. And I think just realizing that and unlocking that and having people say, hey, you need to do this and make sure your body is in this position more times than not.
Good. Jared in the second row on your right.
In addition to being the face of your franchise, Vlad has obviously become the face of baseball for an entire country.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe outside of Shohei Ohtani, no one else in the sport has that, responsibility. I'm wondering how you think he handles sort of that burden and pressure that comes with that, and how meaningful was it for him to have the weekend he just had up in your place?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think Vlad has been dealing with some level of awe or superstardom from when he was a teenager. I remember fans chasing our bus down the road in AA, wanting his autograph or Bo's autograph. So he's been dealing with this for a long time, and he's gotten really, really good at handling it. I think when he signed his extension, I think he kind of understood that with that comes a little bit of an extra responsibility to the organization, to the city, to the country. And he's really kind of tackled that head on. This weekend, it was nice for him and for other guys that have been here in the postseason. Postseason hasn't gone great, for the time they've been here, to kind of have a few moments to where it kind of says, okay, hopefully this year's a little bit different, So yeah, there's a little bit of extra emotion, a little bit of extra, meaning, if you will, that Vlad, who is, here for a long period of time, was right in the middle of it.
Up front on your right, Ron.
The last two nights, have you watched the other AL series, or do you want to totally disconnect and
I've watched a few. I'm not catching every pitch every single time, but definitely watching how teams are, how they're playing, who's being used where, kind of what some strategy may be, what lineups look like and things like that. But way more focused on the team over there.
Is there any time during the year where you just tune out and need a few hours away from baseball?
Man, I wish my wife were here. No. I guess is the easiest answer. No. Maybe if I'm on vacation somewhere, but my phone still rings, and it's hard to turn it off, man. It's it's kind of what gets me going.
Fourth row on your left, Keegan.
John, on pitch tipping, like very broadly, when you say a guy cleaning it up, does clean always need to be like the same look, neutral, or can clean mean like weird, unpredictable, different things all the time?
Yeah, it could be either. It's I could sit up here and talk about pitch tipping for a couple days. I think if you're just doing the same thing, you're probably in a good spot. I think if your hand is in the same spot in your glove on all your pitches, you're in a good spot. And if it's not, it's fair game. You know what I mean? I know I made the comment last time we were here that the Yankees are good when they have something. I meant that in the way that that's not the only time they're good. They're really good. But I think if you have a tell, they're really good at exposing it, is what I meant to say. So, as are a lot of teams. So I think that you have to be aware of it. You have to be able to make some adjustments along the way. But I think just being consistent is probably your best bet.
And then quickly on your offense, like the home runs and lack of strikeouts, like you've had the best of both worlds the last couple games. Is there something that's connecting that, like through all these at bats, that you see that's really working across the lineup right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of us as a whole, right? We're going to put the ball in play. We've done that over the course of the year. I think the home runs are a byproduct of a really good approach against specific pitchers that you're really kind of focused on at this time of year. Whether, looking at all the home runs, probably with the exception of Ernie's, he's just trying to hit a sac fly, and as he said, he kind of blacked out. I think it's just a consistent, really, really deliberate approach against guys that we're going to be facing.
Do a last question or two. One row behind, Mitch.
John, I know during the season you guys did like the twice monthly kind of self-assessments. How does that change in the playoffs? Like, is an off day a good time for that, or is that now happening like every single night?
Yeah, it's kind of happening every night, I think. We did a little bit of, self-evaluating playoffs past and playoffs going, into this year during the bye week, and how things can be run a little bit differently, and how, there's a higher likelihood of X, Y, and Z in the postseason. So we'll continue to do it, but you have to kind of react in real time. Again, man, it's funny, you can have all the plans in the world, and then Trey Savage can go do that. Right? I mean, you just never know. So you kind of just assess every day, kind of after the game, and then the next day.
We'll finish up with Greg up front.
John, this being New York and Yankee Stadium, is there any different feel here being October playoff baseball for you and the guys?
I don't think so. No. I mean, we've played here quite a bit over the years, and this year, I think it'll be a loud crowd. It'll be an energized crowd. It's obviously a very passionate fan base. But I think you have to worry about what you're trying to do against Carlos Rodon tomorrow. That's one of the many things I love about this team, is just kind of focusing on what's important now. And it'll be a fun atmosphere. I know that, but I don't think it makes it different than anywhere else we'll be playing in the postseason.
All right, Schneider, thank you so much.
Thanks,
Appreciate
guys.
it. The Blue Jays will be on the field.
You've been listening
shortly.
live to Jays manager John Schneider talking to reporters in Yankee Stadium ahead of tomorrow's just massive game for the Blue Jays. Of course, if you've been paying attention this weekend, they're up 2-0 in the series against the Yankees. They're hoping for a sweep. The next game tomorrow night, 8:08 in Yankee Stadium. And you heard there Schneider talking about the consistency of the pitching, of the bats, also giving updates to reporters. Bo Bichette still in Toronto, not expected, at least for this part of the series against the Yankees, and Jose Barrios, same thing, not throwing just yet. So a couple of updates on injuries, but otherwise, lots of hype for what's shaping up to be a really, really exciting run for the Toronto Blue Jays.